This podcast is sponsored by Go Play Sports, the brand new mobile app changing the game for grassroots. Whether it's Sunday League or five-a-side, Go Play Sports makes it easy to track attendance, manage teams and cut out the manual admin. No more endless group chats, no more chasing payments, just turn up and play. Go Play Sports. Download now from your app store.
Let's kick it off. I'm Steve, and I'm joined by Ash, Uz, Ron, and Scott. And it's the biggest pod we've ever done because Manchester United are in crisis mode after 2 games into the season. We've picked up 1 point in those 2 games. We had a defeat against Arsenal at Old Trafford, and we picked up a point at Craven Cottage on the weekend. We drew 1-1. So we'll get straight into it. I'm going to come to Scott first because I feel Scott is the most disgruntled out of all of us and possibly all of the United fans in the Let's Kick It Off community. So Scott, starting with the game on Sunday, what did you make of that game against Fulham and United's performance?
Yeah, it didn't surprise me. I wasn't expecting a thumping, but I think overall...
What, by Fulham or...
Yeah,
or
by Fulham. I have to say that I think I said it before, it's the worst Fulham team that we've probably played. They've not strengthened and they've got weaker. And the fact we didn't actually get all 3 points just says it all to me. So I think the performance, the first 10 minutes was a mirror of Arsenal. Exactly the same, nice football, nice movement, connection and all that kind of stuff. But after about 10-15 minutes, it just dropped off. The high press kind of dropped. And then Fulham exposed us like pretty much every club have exposed us for the past 8-9 months. There's just no spine to us in terms of the centre midfield, which then just left us exposed. So, yeah, for me, I think the draw was fair. I don't think we deserved to win it. I don't think we created enough chances, goal-scoring opportunities. Okay, we hit the post, but I just think we didn't create enough. And spending 200+ million that should be creating and scoring, it's Fulham. We should be getting 3 points and should be scoring a few goals at Fulham, with no disrespect to Fulham. But I just thought I was expecting that similar performance, basically.
No, it's fine, Scott. It's a United pod. We can disrespect Fulham. I'm sorry, but we should be beating Fulham. I'm sorry. Like we're Manchester United. We have a huge dick, as shown by signing Sesko when other clubs were in for him. As I saw you kind of pulling your face when Scott said, Fulham are a team we should be beating. Does that mean you think Fulham are a good team and we shouldn't be beating them?
You do actually rate Marco Silva?
No, it was more. I think we want to beat Fulham. It was more. This is the worst Fulham team we've ever played. I actually think Premier League's just generally a lot stronger. So I don't think it's the worst. And I do rate Marco Silva as a manager. I think he's a very good manager and it's a decent team. But yeah, we should be winning. We go into these games. I went into the game expecting to win. We want 3 points from this type of fixture. It was more a comment on, I do think this is a decent Fulham squad and a good manager, well coached. But you'd expect us to, you want us to get the 3 points. And even if, we generally have a really good record as well at Craven Cottage. Even if we're usually like it's some last minute goal, even when we had prime Ronaldo, it was like we needed the last minute goal, but we usually pull something out.
Isn't it the last 8 games at Fulham we've won?
I think it's 15 years we have gone undefeated at Craven Cottage. So I know we didn't lose, but yeah, that tells you how good a record is.
8 in a row, and if we had won, it would have been a record
Club
against
record.
it would against any team away from home. So
just had to be, right? When you know it's going to be a club record, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, Ruben had history against him, so that's the reason we didn't win.
Yeah, just looking at the history, it's like all of these games are by 1 goal. There's a few that are slight, but it's always been close. But you still want to win. You still want to win the football matches. I thought we started really well. I was really excited. I love Cunha. Just think he's brilliant. Such a good player, such a good signing. I just want to keep watching him.
He was unlucky, wasn't he? Like hit the post.
Yeah,
that was unlucky.
Hit the post.
And then the one he brought
shot.
down, from behind here would have been some goal if he scored that.
Obviously, myself and Scott are on polar opposite when it comes to Bruno, and I was like, yes, Bruno's going to score, and then he goes and hits it into Hammersmith somewhere. So that was disappointing.
To be fair to Bruno, he was very hardly done by the referee, right? So we all have to feel sorry for that nudge from the referee. Is that right?
That was a really weird, wasn't it? The whole referee thing. I was like, mate, just calm down. And then after that, he seemed to lose his head, right, for the rest of the game, which didn't help. But
so you actually think like he's got no excuses, and what's he talking about, Bruno, in this instance?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he even said after the game that's not a reason to miss a penalty. Like, he didn't say, "Oh, the referee bumped me, that's why I missed it." So and that's
but even bringing it up.
The thing is, Ruben said the same thing. Though,
he didn't bring it up.
Ruben said he had a bad attitude, or he didn't start the game in the right frame of mind.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest, he's right. Because
he didn't need to mention the apology, as in
this is your club captain.
Apologize.
This is your club captain, and the fact that he's coming into a post-match interview and is saying, "I'm waiting for the referee to apologise to me." I mean, this sums up where this football club is at. That your club captain is more worried about that than actually focusing on the penalty and putting the penalty away. And even if you think like that, even if you are concerned about referee apologising to me, don't come out and say it in the media. This is your club captain. Pathetic.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think I said it on the WhatsApp chat straight away. Like, you know, because you could see him whining about something, and it's Bruno, right? So he could be whining about anything. But I was like trying to compute it in my head. Is he actually whining that the referee touched him? I mean, doesn't that show that he's like pissed off generally? And is that maybe to do with the position he's playing on the pitch?
There were some rumours. I don't know if you guys heard, but a couple of days before the game, they were talking about rumours had circulated again about Saudi, and I think there's still some rumours today around potential last couple of days of the window. So you just wonder, you know, was that potentially playing on his mind? And you know, the fact we know what he's like. You know, sometimes. You know, he's not necessarily the most strong-willed of characters. And has that affected his performance just going into it? Because I think I noticed it in the first 5 minutes. You know, again, he was sort of throwing his arms around. He was going back to his usual self from last year, moaning and whining. And he didn't have a great game in general.
I do feel sorry for him, though, because he's been put in this position by the manager in terms of the position he's playing. Well, it's not even a position, right? He's all over the place. Like, and, you know, that happened, obviously, last Sunday. We were there. And I know, Scott, you were very vocal about that during the game and afterwards, and rightly. I mean, anything else you wanted to add regarding like how he was on the pitch in terms of like positionally, or did he have a position?
The thing is good with the stats that you can see, the heat map. He's all over the place. He's like a headless chicken, and he's been that for a number of months. And this is where Ruben is saying that he's a number 8. Number 8 is a centre midfielder, and he can't play that position because he doesn't stay there. And that's where you need a player that's got that ability, but also it's that the bloody word I used this morning, but it was kind of, you've got to be so disciplined in that position that you don't go left back, you don't go right back. You've got to play that centre midfield position as that. But he's all over the place. He's everywhere. And I think this is Bruno. As a number 10, you can let him do what you want. And now that we've got multiple number 10s, is that he's no longer that kind of focal point. So I look at it and kind of go, yes, he has to play a different role as a number 8, which is probably not like him because he's no longer that focal point, that person everything goes through. He's got 2 players ahead of him now, are really excited that everyone's talking about. I think he's that petulant that he's probably looking at that and going, well, I'm no longer the main man. They're no longer using me as everything that goes through me and the focal point of a football game kind of things. I just think he's that type of player, that type of person that he will start throwing his toys out the pram. And if there is an offer, tell me what the offer is, the flight number, we'll get him there. Because
you'll be driving the plane, Scott.
Well, the thing is, we're asking for a number 8, and we're talking, and I know we'll probably talk mainly later, But I look at it and kind of go, we know our centre midfield position is weak as what it is. Now you look at Casemiro, he's probably doesn't look like he's going. He's probably got a year left at best. And then you look at the other two midfielders, there's still question marks around Ugarte, even though I rate him highly. Mainu, he should be in the first 11 full stop. There shouldn't be even an argument about it. But there's still that question mark of a centre midfielder. And whoever that may be, Belieber or whatever, you've got 100 million for your 30-year-old ex number 10, take it. Go sign Belieber and have a core midfield that can be disciplined and play in those positions. Where
I want to go back to Carlos Baleba in a bit when we talk about maybe transfers, because I've got my own take on that, having watched another game. But I guess like moving it on slightly, because you guys have covered it in terms of how we started and how we ended, unless Steve, you wanted to mention anything else. So obviously after the game, there was a couple of quotes from Fulham. So Marco Silva was talking about the game plan, and then Alex Iwobi, the quote is, "We knew that we would be able to get behind their two midfielders and that their centre-backs would want to jump." So we talked a lot about this for the first couple of weeks regarding the pod, as you were very vocal on two in the middle being okay. You didn't even care, apparently, at one point in terms of like who Bruno's partner. Going to change your mind on that?
No, I do care about who Bruno's partner is. I think that's the big weakness in this team. The holding midfielder position's an issue. And I feel sorry for Bruno because he's getting asked to do just too many jobs. And he's everywhere and he does need to calm down. So I agree with Scott, like positionally, it's never been his strength. It's always a trade-off with players, right? No, there's no perfect footballer in the world. Even Ronaldo and Messi, right, didn't do their defensive job or their pressing or whatever. You always have trade-offs. At the moment, Mbappe, Haaland are the GOATs, and, you know, Haaland's link play isn't that great, and Mbappe's defensive work, etc. So I feel sorry for Bruno because not having that partner in midfield is an issue. I kind of laughed at the reaction to the Silva and Iwobi quotes. It's like, it sounded like, oh, Fulham somehow dominated the game and they... You know, it was like, no, it was an even game. I think a draw was a fair result. We were on top at certain periods. I thought my concern was more, I actually think we played the first half well. It was more the second half when the changes were made and we lost. Casemiro comes off the pitch who can't last because he's just not got the legs anymore. I know, Scott, you mentioned Ugarte. I'd love you to talk more about Ugarte because I think he's been quite poor at United, and I felt like we need the one thing I'd say Ruben versus Ten Hag is I think he analysed the game well, and he said, "Oh, once we'd scored the goal, we lost our heads. We didn't try and control the game. We got nervous and we were trying to protect the result." But I also felt he himself with his substitutions.
I was going to say
maybe
that.
he said
He contradicted himself completely.
No, because this is the thing. I'm trying to think.
No, he did. He did. I'll tell you why he contradicted himself, because he said we were thinking about the result, and then he goes and makes substitutions where he takes off Ahmad, puts on Dallo. He takes off Mount and puts on Ugarte. So automatically his formation, his tactics, his team lineup is about trying to protect the result. So he himself is doing that.
Yeah.
Yet he's putting on his players. Well, actually, if you set the team up in that way and make decisions in that way to try and protect the result, what do you think is going to happen? Your players are going to perform in that way.
So I basically agree with you. So I was like, oh, that makes no sense. So obviously, in my imaginary mind, I had a conversation with Ruben and trying to work out how does this make sense? And I think how it makes sense is he saw the team doing this and then he did the wrong thing. So I felt his substitutions. I'm with you, Ron. I didn't like his substitutions. It almost was like he sensed the team needed more defensive stability and therefore brought those players on. But it baited the problem. And then Fulham got on top. Well, I felt like up to that point, we were the better team. I felt like our goal was pure luck. I was like, wow, we got some luck for once. But I felt it was deserved. We should have been leading at that point.
Yeah, based on the chances we had.
But then from the goal was the bit where I felt like when he made the changes, Casemiro off, the one you mentioned, Dallo for... Ahmad wasn't having a good game, but Dallo, terrible mistake on the goal. We don't track the run. silly goal to concede. But it's
Bruno's not tracking as well. You look at on the goal; it was
Bruno
three.
doesn't track the run.
De Ligt and Bruno.
But that's the problem, guys.
De Ligt could have cleared that ball as well.
Exactly.
That's not Bruno's role, though, guys. And this is the point.
Well, this is why he shouldn't be playing central midfield.
You have to play your best players in the best positions. Like football's a real simple game. Like this goes almost back to the starting lineups for the last 2 weeks. Like we're playing with no striker.
Well, I think Ash, to your point, then I think we can roll it back. So if we talk about strategy and we roll it back to the start of the transfer window, if you had 200 million, so the start of the window, I think none of us knew, and I include all fans in that, how much budget do we truly have? Financially, we're going through a crisis, we're going through redundancies, we're laying people off left, right, and centre. Have we got any money to spend this window? Well, I'm telling you now, we've got 200 million to spend in this window without making a single player sale, generating any income from any sales. How do you go about spending that 200 million when you've got Bruno, you've got Mason Mount, you've got Ahmad, you've got players that can play in the number 10? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You go and spend that money, the bulk of it, on 2 number 10s, Mbeumo and Cunha. And that all of a sudden you're presenting yourself with a problem because your best player last season and for many a year over the last 3-4 seasons has been Bruno Fernandes. And all of a sudden now, because you've brought in those 2 number 10s, you now need to drop Bruno back into central midfield. So you've created this problem. And actually the budget that you had when, let's be honest, we scored, if you look at our goals in the last 2 or 3 seasons, we scored 44 goals last season. I think we scored 53 or something the year before. So clearly goals is a problem in this team. So yes, I can understand the need to try and, create and look at those attacking areas, and we've done that. But actually, fundamentally, you need a number 9. You need a centre forward, and we've signed Sesko now. But you've created this problem because your best player in the last few seasons, Bruno Fernandes, is now having to drop back into central midfield. If he's going to play central midfield this season, I really can't see us going anywhere.
Just look. If you look at the options, though, look at the options that he had, because he had out of what is it, 9 subs and 1's a goalkeeper, is it? I think. Yeah. So out of his 8 on-field, on-field players, 6 are defensive. He's got no options. So what is it? So this is what it's going to be like every game. He changes 2 centre backs. He brings on Dalot or Ahmad, depending on who's starting, and he's got 1 forward attacking player. He's got no other attacking players whatsoever within the team. So,
well, we know what he does when he wants to try and win a game. He sticks on Harry Maguire. I'm sorry,
Scott's made actually a really relevant point, which is like a lot of people are saying, "Oh, why did we sign all these attackers?" But now Scott's saying, "Yeah, but we still needed those attackers because if we didn't sign those guys, we wouldn't have enough attackers." So
that's also because Ruben's isolated players. Kobbie Mainoo can't get on the pitch. Marcus Rashford's left. Garnacho is nowhere. This is all on.
I'm gonna call it now. I think Cunha is a massive upgrade on Garnacho. absolutely love him. I think he's a brilliant player.
But you don't have Garnacho as a bench option either. That's the point.
No, but we have to sell Garnacho to like Ron mentioned. We don't have the budget, so like really, Garnacho's getting sold, right? Anthony's getting sold. Rashford's wages are off, and he's got an option to buy. They're going. They're not part of the squad. Now they're not part of the squad. I love Cunha. I think he's a great player. I think Mbeumo, sorry. We should be calling him Fernandes, but Mbeumo doesn't look fully up to speed.
Call him Brian.
We know Brian, Big Bri, isn't fully up to speed in my opinion. But we know he's Prem proven. We've seen him at Brentford once he gets going, and Sesko clearly he's getting eased in as well. And I think we need a number 9, and I think hopefully he'll start tomorrow, get going, get that focal point, and then on the point of Bruno, Scott's hit the nail on the head. At some point, he's going to be. We need to have a succession plan to Bruno. Either that's. I personally want it to be next summer. I think I'd like him to have another season because I just want the stability at the club for one summer, one season now, and then next summer. But
if I offered you Carlos Baleba for if we sold Bruno, would you do it?
I think the team is stronger. The biggest problem, so I know, like we can talk about systems because there's a lot of debate on Twitter around the system, right? The 3-4-3 and the 4-4-2 or the 4-2-3-1, the 4-3, all these systems, they all fall down because we don't have a good midfield. So it doesn't matter what system you play, you still don't have the midfielders. So I think
it does matter
I'd like
because
to
you can
question that.
compensate with other
I'd like to
systems.
question that. I think with a 4-3-3, I think our midfield improves dramatically. And by that, I would say, even if we don't sign a single midfield player now, between now and the end of the window, Casemiro stroke Ugarte, pick one from there as your number 6. Mainu plays in the number 8, and Bruno Fernandes plays in the number 10. That automatically is an upgrade on the midfield that we are currently presenting over the last 2 opening Premier League games.
Yeah, but now
Wouldn't
you've
you agree?
weakened the centre backs. So we've seen it under Ten Hag. We concede a lot more shots and concede more chances. So yeah, you'll have a better football's a game of 11 players. You don't have 12, 13, right? If you give up a midfielder, you get a centre back. If you give
I think
up
you're
a centre
forgetting
back,
Lenny Euro, fully fit, and now that he's had a season under his belt, I think he's going to be phenomenal. So I think if we compare,
Don't you want an attacking team, Az? That's what you said last week. You were like, screw it, right? Like, we want more goals. So just play. I mean, the Premier League is already evolving. We've talked about it, right? It's going on one-on-one defending. So we've just got to trust Euro. De Ligt is fit, and he's playing decent. Like, you know,
he had a great
he
game
played
against
well
Arsenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah, great against Gyökeres, and up until the goal yesterday, he was decent. So why don't we just play two centre backs?
I've seen it under Ten Hag, and this I feel like our defenders are better suited to the back three. I think Lissandro, Shaw, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Maguire, Heaven, all of them are better
So
suited.
you
to
think
playing
with
a
back two, we'll be the ping pong or like basketball style Ten Hag football was in the second season? You think that will happen again?
Once the midfield is breached, because Mainu and Bruno are weak defensively, so you've got Ugarte. Once that's breached, you're against 2 players. You're under threat. Your goal's more under threat. With
I think Ruben's got into your head then, because Mainy's
it's not Ruben.
Mainy's better than you're saying. And like I think everyone's forgetting. No, defensively, he's not as bad. He's not as bad though. He's not as bad though as Ruben's making out, because like you know,
I think
even
Ruben's trying to motivate him, right? Like
he's doing a really shit job of it then, because like he wants to leave the club.
Anyway,
like that's his boyhood club.
Let's just talk about the thing. I'm more a 4-3-3 guy generally, but I'm saying that we need to sign a midfielder, whatever the system. You need the holding midfielder.
Obviously.
So going back to Ron's, but this goes back to Ron's point, right? You at the start of the window, you look at your squad and you say, what do we need? Centre midfielder was one of the key positions.
Do you remember,
Steve? Why did we go and let Bruno decide his future?
Yeah,
what was that about?
Do you remember, Steve, when we were discussing which player we could bring back, and you were like, of all
Carrick.
the players in the whole of history, you said Michael Carrick, and I'm like, you know what? That isn't the most ridiculous thing. And I was like, we need to sign Adam Wharton, because to me, he's the next Carrick.
Yeah.
So,
but
yeah.
this is to Ron's
now,
point.
Now
we
your
found
thing
ourselves.
of why should we let Bruno decide his future? Because that's the right thing to do. Because you can't go, oh, Bruno, fuck off to Saudi.
Why would you let
Why
Bruno?
not?
Why would
It's
you let
happened
Bruno
to bigger
decide his
players than
future?
Bruno.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Well, I think you're making a point about you can't play 2 at the back. So back 4, is you saying that we can't play that football?
No, it's not that we
formation?
can't. I think we still need to sign a holding midfielder.
Well, okay,
Yeah, but we know that. We know
We're
that.
still going to sign a holding midfielder, but I look at it and kind of go, the current formation, you do not have a left wing back. You do not have a right wing back that can play left wing back and right wing back. They are very, very defensive. Ahmad is not a right wing back. Dalot is not a right wing back. The same with our left hand side. Shaw is probably the only one that you could say who can play left wing back, because he's got that attacking ability with
And that was 5 years ago, Scott.
Yeah,
he's not
5
fit
years
enough to
ago.
do it now.
Dorgo is good, but again, his attacking ability is still
He's
questionable.
20.
So I look at it and kind of go, we've got players that cannot play this formation. He's just gone and spent 200 plus million on a formation that he's still stuck with. That actually you're saying he hasn't sorted the midfield out. He's got left 2 wing backs, but we've got no players that can play that role.
I think the good thing is that I think this squad is actually fine. If we change manager, like you guys can suggest other managers to about, I think the squad's actually fine. You can put together a team. My only point, and you can disagree with this if you want or not, is you still need to sign a bloody midfielder. And
everyone agrees with that.
Everyone agree with that.
Everyone agrees with that.
And therefore, this system,
Everyone agrees.
the system's not working just because we don't have a midfielder. And then
No,
the other
that's
system,
that's where I
system-
disagree.
The point
the
we're
other
making-
system won't work because we won't have a midfielder. You lose
No,
the
but you
battle in midfield.
compensate. So, for example, you got two in the middle at the moment, right? If you play 2-3-1 or 3-3, at least you have another body. And in Steve's case in particular, at least Cobby's playing and he's not trying to leave the club. Like, that's got to be better. That's got to be better than playing an extra centre back, Steve, right? It has to be.
It wasn't under Ten Hag.
Yeah, but Ten Hag's gone, so like.
No, what I'm saying is it's shown that our midfield, our front press is still not good. You end up at the centre back position, right? You end up defending the penalty box with two players. Now, the only club that seems to be able to do this is Liverpool, because Virgil van Dijk seems to be doing like the job of two players. Like, you watch the Newcastle game, they were constantly breached. Newcastle were constantly at them, and Van Dijk was putting out fires. We don't have Van Dijk.
To me, they're two different points what you're making, right? We need a midfielder. All five of us agree with that, but I think at least four of us are saying compensate by playing three in the middle, whether it's two in the pivot or one in the pivot, and then you have an 8 and a 10.
And then you'll lose at centre back, is all I'm saying. So it's not.
That's fine because like you said last week, who cares? Because we're going to attack more and probably have more chances. So we should score goals.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I think the reason behind that is because there's so many other areas that you are compromising in playing this back three system. The wing backs, we just don't have wing backs. Central midfield, playing the two in this formation just doesn't work. Then we've got the likes of Mbeumo and Cunha. Mbeumo last season, his best work came off the touchline at Brentford. Now you're playing him as an inverted number 10. That's not his position. I'm not saying he won't do well this season because he's a good enough player to adapt to it. But actually his best position was off the flank, coming in and then doing his best work there for Brentford. So there's so many other areas that unfortunately we're compromising by not playing, to your point, Shel, as having this extra defender. I wouldn't do that. I just want to take it back. Steve, I wanted to ask you, if we have the £200 million that we have at the moment to spend at the start of this window, would you have gone and bought two number 10s? Interested to hear your thoughts.
No, I think the one position I would have said at the start of the window, and I think we could probably listen back to recordings in Bilbao, is striker. That was the number one position, I think I said and a lot of people said. So obviously we got the striker in the end in Šeško. But I think, thinking back, goalkeeper we weren't too happy with at the start of the window, right? Centre midfield, I think, it would have been one of the positions. But in terms of priority, I think I was thinking striker, goalkeeper, and then probably, centre midfield would have been in the mix, to address. And it doesn't really feel like we've addressed any apart from striker, So it feels like we've created more problems than we've solved, I'd say.
I think the biggest flaw that we've got is the lack of goals in the last couple of seasons. 44 goals, I think 57, I've just checked the stats, 57 the year before that, 58 in fact the year before that, and then 57 the year before that. So in the last 4 seasons, United have not scored more than 60 goals in a Premier League season over 38 games. So clearly the issue is we don't score enough goals. And for me, and we've all played football, yes, of course, to score goals, you need a good striker, you need a good attack. But actually the build-up play from the back is essential. Not having good enough midfield to then feed the front men, the number 10s, the wingers, your number 9. That's where it comes from. And to go and spend the 200 million on that in that attack and not address and balance the team up in midfield is a huge, huge error.
2 points to you, Ron. This is interesting. One is you said, would you sign these number 10s? But now you said we need goals. We signed 2 of the best goal scorers in the Premier League last season. So isn't that a good thing?
You've got to feed them. You've got to feed them, You've got to feed them.
Now, here's the next point. This is what I really actually wanted to get to: is the 4-4-2 system that you'll have of Delict, Yoro, Ugarte, and Mainu can't pass the ball, so they won't get the ball forward.
No, I think we need to sign. This is why a number 6. We've got to
Which
buy
of those
number
four
6.
can pass the ball?
What is this about Kobbie Mainoo? I shouldn't slag off our own ex-admin since I'm technically represented by him. But he tweeted Carl Anka with this little 2-minute segment where Carl Anka's talking that Kobbie Mainoo can't make 20, 30-yard balls. Do me a favour. Kobbie Mainoo could make those passes in his sleep. The talent that he's got, you're telling me he can't be coached to make 20 to 30-yard passes? I'd back most of us 5 to be able to make them passes, let alone someone with Kobbie Mainoo's talent. So don't tell me Kobbie Mainoo can't take the ball off the centre-backs and get it into the final third, whether that's through passing, dribbling, turns. The guy is so talented, so I'm not having that he can't be that number 8 that moves the ball forward.
This goes back to coaching, right? And, as we'll have a good laugh about coaching, but Arne Slot, he had Ryan Gravenberch, who wasn't a number 6, and he made him into one. So, again, as Roy Keane would say, do your fucking job.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Gravenberch is doing it through carrying, like Kobbie. He's not passing line.
No, right? he is passing like that. That's
no, Kobbie can make the basic passes.
No, but you were talking about Gravenberch.
Let's go back to the Arsenal game, right? The passes that Carl Anka's talking about is Casemiro long to Mbeumo, Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount. Those big switch pass. Kobbie Mainoo doesn't do the big switch pass yet.
He can do that.
Guess what? We lost. Does it matter what we did? We lost.
Yes, it does.
It didn't work.
The problem.
It didn't work.
It did.
No, it didn't.
We were the better team.
No, but it didn't. You can be a better.
It worked.
You can be the better team. It didn't work.
Now, this is the one thing I will fundamentally disagree with people on. Do not look at the result. Football is a 38-game thing. Sometimes you're the better team and you lose.
It's result-driven.
Bad luck. It's not. It's process-driven.
No, it isn't. You get 3 points for a win.
No, as a manager, you get fired. You get fired without results.
Yeah,
if you're a manager, you get fired if you don't get results. So it is a result.
Not the process, not the philosophy.
But the results come from the process. No, the results come from the process.
Yeah, but if a manager has a process but doesn't get results, he gets fired, right?
100%.
There you go. So it is results driven.
But you need to have a process to get the results. If you're the better team, you generally win football matches.
So how did Jose Mourinho be so successful over a number of years? Because he didn't care about the performances. It was about results. It's about winning.
Yeah, but he was the better team. He controlled the game.
No, not all the time. I saw a number of games when Jose Mourinho's team.
You know what? Ash made a really good point actually on our WhatsApp, and he's bang on. You also need a bit of luck, and I think Ruben's an unlucky manager.
Yeah, right? He's definitely got the David Moyes about him. Sure.
That was such a good point you made. I was like, you know what? You're spot on. The amount of times I've watched a game where it's close, and I'm like, how we won this under Ten Hag?
Guys, I
don't understand how we won the game.
No, Ron. I'm not saying. No. Let me just make the David Moyes point so everyone understands it correctly. Then you can come in. So all I said was, and I think I said it to you, Ron, after the Arsenal game. Having watched 28 games, and Scott, bear with me, having watched 28 games last season, right? Look, in isolation, there were moments in all these bloody games that we lost and drew where if we had scored, you never know, right? And all I was like thinking on the way back from Old Trafford, I was like, he's like David Moyes in that moment that needed to go his way.
Even Bilbao, right? We had a few chances.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Look, go back to Jose Mourinho, 2004, Old Trafford, Paul Scholes, offside, wins the Champions League, right? Those types of things. Look, I'm not saying Ruben's going to go and do that, but I'm just saying these little things in sports, it's not just in football, these little things in sports, you need them to go your way. And look, Ron, I know you're itching to say the process is shit. I agree, but it's just those little moments, like, if they don't go your way, it makes it even worse. Like 7 wins in, is it 28 or 29 games now?
I'm going to challenge that and say I'm looking at the data set. If this was 5 games, 6 games, I can take your point about luck. If I was a new manager today and I walked into a football club,
it's not a big thing though. Like it's a marginal thing.
He's had 29 Premier League games. He's won,
and he's
7.
in the bottom 3 if it's a 38-game season.
He's lost 7. Right, his win ratio is 24.1%. That is the same win ratio as Neil Warnock. If I multiply that out over a couple of seasons, Neil Warnock had 112 games, 27 wins, same percentage, 24%. Guess what? He got relegated twice. This is not about luck. This is just You've got the data, you've got, the timeline of 27 games. Now, if we were to 29 games, if we were to multiply this out over 38 games, he'd be on 36 points. He's averaging less than 1 point a game. I'm not going to accept the point about luck. This has got nothing to do with luck. This is just poor management and poor tactics. And frankly, he's a bit out of his depth at the moment, playing this 3 at the back. It's not going to work. We've got a good enough team, I think. Let's have a manager that can play 4-3-3, and I think we'll finish in the top 6.
Ron, I totally agree with that. I'm just saying, right, if you're the board, right, when you look at it, you say all of that stuff that you just mentioned, but when you zoom in, and that's the point, when you look at these games, look, I'm sure, when people listen to this pod, they're going to be like, well, what about this chance for the opposition? I understand. All I'm saying is, though, in isolation, there were moments, Steve's just touched on it, if Vicario doesn't have, a decent game in the Europa final, we had the better chances. I'm not saying, that means Ruben's super unlucky and, keep him. I'm just saying when you look at it in isolation, certain points or certain games, and you look at a moment in time, if we score, X happens, right? It's like the Harry Maguire goal against Leon, right? He got that moment, and he hasn't had enough of those.
I think any manager to be successful needs that element of luck. Look, Fergie over the years had that bit of luck. Fair enough. I'm not denying you don't need a bit of luck. Fair enough. But generally speaking, you make your own luck. And we've got a good data set here. 29 Premier League games is almost a season. As I said to you, he's averaging less than a point a game.
It's not good enough.
That is not acceptable as a United manager.
There's 2 things. One is you're right, but I'm looking at this as a fresh start because it's a whole new squad and a new start. That's one thing. But I totally agree with you. If you include last season, shocking. I mean, it's absolutely shocking. On Ash's point, I'll quickly just make a quick point in that if you've read How to Win the Premier League, the Ian Graham book, he makes the point of this variance. There's just variance that he makes the point, we hired Jurgen Klopp and he was 17th, but we looked at the data and it was on the XG, it's not that bad. And this is the same thing with us. We last season, we scored 10 less goals than we should have by XG. And that's not a manager, it's just variance. And I hope that that evens out, and it should even out a bit. It'll still put us last season mid-table, and mid-table's not good enough. But we weren't the 5th. We're basically solidly mid-table. We should be a top 6 team. However, if we play like we did against Arsenal for the next 10 games, we will win more of those games and lose them. The sample size for me is 45 minutes of football, of which I think 3 were good and 1 was bad. That's how I'm looking at it.
Can I ask a question then on XG and I guess the trajectory? If we don't beat Burnley, what do we say then in terms of we're looking at the data's pointing here, but to Scott and Ron's point, we haven't got the results.
It's a process, apparently. We've got to follow the
process.
It's
not about results. It's about process.
It literally is that. If we perform well and we're unlucky, you'd be like, well, dude, ball didn't go in net. Cunha hits the post. Bruno hits a penalty over the bar. Ball doesn't go in net. If we play badly against Burnley, if we start playing like we played last season, it's clear he's gone in one of the international breaks, right? The performance is the key. And we played well against Arsenal. We were the better team against Arsenal. The midfield wasn't swamped against Arsenal. The first half against Fulham. If you look at it, the moment Mason Mount and Casemiro go off the pitch, we lose control of the game because we don't have the midfield.
He needs to start winning football matches. Based 100%. on the teams in the Premier League right 100%. Now, his win ratio is 15%. He's beaten City, which is an amazing result away from home. He's beaten Villa, he's beaten Everton, and he's beaten Fulham. Yeah. That's it. I couldn't care less about how we play against Burnley. I want to win a match. I want 3 points on the board. I want to start going up that league table so that when I'm talking to my friends that are Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans, my brother-in-law supports Newcastle, for goodness sake. And they're going to have a better season than us. Now, how hard that is to have those conversations with those guys. Monday morning, Scott and I go into work, and we're talking to Liverpool fans. And we're in 15th, and they're fighting for a league title. I want to win football matches. That's what the name of the game is.
Even Tottenham fans are taking the piss out of us now, right? Scott, this is done for you, right? This was done for you a long time ago. There's no way back,
it's not
right?
changing. And to us, you can throw all the stats, XG, all that crap at me. It hasn't changed a thing. All we've done is replaced like for like. You still haven't solved the core of the problem. The core of the problem is those 7 players behind them. They will not create chances. They will not score more goals. Yes, they are better players, and you're saying that they're an upgrade. I agree with that. I love Kuno, and it looks brilliant, but you've replaced like for like. You're not creating more. You're not going to create more chances. You're not going to score more goals because you've got a problem. It's those 7 behind them.
But do you think, Scott, like if we change to manager with the same 7 players, and Cobby obviously comes in now for one of the centre backs, is that a dramatic shift?
Yeah, because you could. I look at any manager, and you look at any of the top world class managers that have won things. They do not come in and go, you know what? I've got this philosophy. I'm going to play 3-5-2-1, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to play this. I don't care who you are. I'm going to put you in that position to see if it works or fits. They work to the strength of that team, like the team that they've got. You work with it and say, if I've got 3 left backs, what am I going to play? Left wing back or left backs? You play to the strength of the team as you've got. Get the results, build from it, but make it over a period of time that actually says we haven't got the City money where, Pep came in and basically went, I paid 50 million for a left back, didn't work out. 6 months later, he buys another one for 60 million. We haven't got that sort of money. So I look at it and kind of go, if you're not going to be able to completely shift the whole team, then work to its strengths. And every single player that we've had through the door by Anthony have been decent players. They've been badly coached. And this is what I mean by you've got these players. You've got Kuna that there's potentially a question mark about his attitude and his work rate when it gets into the slumps of, winter and all that kind of stuff. And he showed signs of that with Wolves. If the results go the way that they are going, how long does it take for him to kind of go, you know what? I'm going to throw my eyes up in the air. I'm going to be getting sent off, and I'm not going to be putting in the effort that he is doing now. Players change very quickly. And this is what I mean by all we've done is replaced like for like. And I mean that in the sense of we're getting rid of Nacho. You just got replacement in. You've not fixed the core problem. And the core problem, this formation doesn't work. It's been proven. And it continues to be proven. Until we get results, and that results is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus games on a run, and it's too late. You've got another season that you're going to be finishing bottom half the table again because they can't make the decision.
2 quick points I wanted to jump on. So regarding last season, I can't ignore it because it's 5 Premier League wins this year. I just had a look, of which one's against Southampton, one's against Ipswich, one's against Leicester, right? So that means Fulham away in January, Martinez, deflected goal, and Aston Villa at Old Trafford. And we're going into September. So I can't ignore that. The only other thing I wanted to mention in terms of like time on the training pitch, getting used to the club and all this stuff. Arnie Slot, look, everyone's going to bang on about the squad he inherited, but spoke to like friend of the pod, Kabir. He was on the pod saying that if Ruben had taken over, Liverpool would have finished like 6th, 7th. I totally agree with that. So I do think it's a manager problem. And also, you look at the likes of what Arnie Slot did with that team. He had no sign-ins, bar Chiesa, and he improved certain players that have never played in those positions. So don't tell me you can't improve players like Kobbie Mainoo. And then you look at Thomas Frank, he's adapted in 3 different games. PSG, Super Cup, unlucky, 2-2, lost on pens, beat Burnley comfortably, and then done a number on Pep away from home. So, it's all on Ruben. I'm sorry. What's interesting as well, just final point, is the fact that the narrative, even these 2 games, I don't feel like the fans are actually on the players' back. It's like we want the manager to do well, but the results aren't coming. So like you can keep on like banging on the door in terms of like how you played against Arsenal, but if you don't beat Burnley, because you got to beat Burnley convincingly as well. You can't just beat them 1-0 deflected goal. you have to like put in a good performance. So you're smiling. What do you think?
No, I'm just laughing at the fact that we have to beat Burnley. But my
I know,
point,
and that
and I,
shouldn't even that shouldn't be the end of it. Just if we won 6-0 and we played incredible football and XG was like 7, right, for the game, you got to do that every week.
Are you assuming we're going to get through Grimsby, by the way?
yeah, exactly.
That's the
Yeah.
big challenge.
Yeah, midweek. But
That's
look,
the real quiz.
What did we expect, guys? We hired a manager that plays this formation. We knew before he came in he was going to stick to this formation. So I actually don't knock Ruben for changing, because that's what he is. That's what we picked. So again, for me, this goes.
Then
up
he
the
will get
chain.
fired. Simple as that.
He will eventually, but I think Ineos are too arrogant to admit they made a mistake, and they'll ride this out until the very end, I feel. So
November.
I've made this point to you guys. I think all of you individually. I think this goes back to Ineos. Ten Hag was struggling. Results weren't there. To change and completely revolutionize the way your football club is going to operate and go to a back three system requires a significant amount of budget. We don't have the budget to be able to do that. You know, we've discussed already around the wing backs, you know, the three at the back, the midfield. That requires significant investment. This is not, you know, the 90s or the 2000s where you could buy a player for 20 million and brilliant, he's going to be great. You're looking at significant amounts of millions of pounds, dollars, euros, call it what you want, to be invested into this club to completely
Bitcoin.
change the way you're going to play. And we haven't got that. And Ineos have made the decision to completely change that. But then you've got to back it up. Financially, you've got to back it up. And spending 200 million in one window isn't going to fix it to go from a back or to a back three and expect us to be winning. So
he needs Wilcox, and he needs Sir Jim having a word with him, and not him telling him to fuck off, and having a word with him saying, you need to get results. Suck it up. Stop being stubborn about the formation. Stop being stubborn the way you want to play football. You've got to get results.
But
So
then how
play
does that
to-
look on him, Scott? Because when
Tough
Ruben came
shit.
in, he said in press conferences outright, "I'm not changing my
But
philosophy."
then I'm sorry, but if that's the stance, then his philosophy will not win games. Then he should be fired. He's not the right fit for us. They've made that decision very quickly with other senior members within the football club. Then why can't they do it with this manager? They've made a mistake. They shouldn't have done it. Like Ron's saying, is essentially we didn't have the budget, the funds, the ability to go find those players and buy players to suit this formation, to suit this manager. But I think I said it this morning to Ron, is that you can go and buy the very, very best player in every single one of those positions. We will still not win football games under this manager. We just won't. He's just tactically not there. He's so naive. He's not mature enough. And I just don't think he understands this football league. This league, it's above everything else. He's come from one of the worst European leagues to the league. And quite frankly, he's come into it, eyes wide shut, probably. He's a rabbit in a headlight.
Steve, on your point of him not changing, that's one of the reasons why essentially he got ruled out of the Liverpool job, or in terms of the running, because he made it very clear to them he would not change, and he actually wanted more control of the transfer recruitment process as well, which he was clearly told that would not be the case. So if he doesn't want to adapt in any form in terms of the shape of his teams, then all that's going to happen is he'll get fired pretty quickly at United, and then he will just go around a merry-go-round like, VS Boas and those managers around Russia or wherever, Saudi, and just make money that way, because he's not going to manage any top club unless like everything falls in place for him.
Looking forward, we all know where we currently are, but looking forward, what do you do? Scott, are you saying if you're in charge today, you'd fire him?
Yeah.
Would you pull the bullet?
Yep. You had Ten Hag had 8-9 games at the start of the season. I think that's too late. If we're in the same position as we are in 89 games, I would be like, I told you so. Fuck, get rid of him now. It's not working.
And who are you getting, Scott?
Anyone that's got a better 25% win record. Sean Dyche has got a 34% rate. I'll take that right now.
Sean Dyche.
Jeez.
There he is. There's your man.
Exclusive.
The thing is, I think, I don't know if it was Ash or Az said it on the last pod I was on. I think somebody mentioned Thomas Frank, and I think I frowned on it. And actually, I'll take that back, because even in the couple of games that he's played at Spurs, the way he's just gone in there and kind of gone, I can get the very best out of these players. You know, Richarlison is a completely new player. He's able to coach players, and that's what we need. We need a coach that can develop and has a tactical awareness of this league that gets you results. So I don't know who said it, but whoever did, you were right.
It was definitely me, because the guy who below was saying that what was it, like, he doesn't inspire you as, or something like that. I know you're now going to sit on the fence and be like, I like Thomas Frank, but like, yeah, he's not good enough for United. Essentially,
Ash has got the list of boring.
yeah, exactly.
I got the same list as Dan Ashworth, mate, the guy that you wanted fired. Sorry, not fired. So.
No, I rate Thomas Frank. I'm wrong. You can remember when we were discussing in Bilbao. It's like, I actually like Thomas Frank.
Yeah. No, you said that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. One thing I would say though, just calm again, sample size. Burnley at home. Spurs won that game, and then the City game. You know, they didn't control the ball. They have a lot of runners in their team. Like, it's a couple
but they don't
games.
have passes, so they play to their strengths.
Control the ball. Away to City is not about controlling the ball; it's about the result.
No, but the thing with Frank, the question mark on Frank is, or with Spurs, is to get to the top 5, which is what the aim will be. It'll be interesting to see, right, in more games where they have to do that.
Why do they have to finish top 5 and United don't then?
Well, if you look at my let's kick it off predictions, I've got us 5th. So I think we should be. We should be. We should. I do think we should be competing.
So it is about the results. It is about the results.
100%. But it's also that the. You know, the problem I saw with Ten Hag was, even if we're getting the results, I'm like, yeah, but we're getting lucky. So if we, last season, unacceptable, not good enough, performances not good enough, results not good enough. If I see better performances, then I'll be a bit more patient to wait for the results, but the results you have to win games. Like, it's as simple as that.
Why is this game different? Why are the 2 games that we played any different to the Europa final? Like, to me, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah,
I mean,
we played way better. I think we've played way better. I really enjoyed,
me, like, Cunha's like obviously helped the defense. Pushed the line up a bit, and that's due to like pre-season. But like, we look at the Fulham second half, right?
As I said, when Casemiro goes off and Mount goes off and the subs go on, we lose complete control of the game. We have to sign a midfielder. Whoever the next manager is, this squad needs a proper midfielder. And I cannot believe that the window closes and we don't add someone in midfield. But
we're making it out as if like there's only Adam Morton and Carlos Baleba. Like, our 7-year-old cousin could give you those 2 names, right? Like, Paulina has gone to Spurs. Like, the Portuguese mafia. Like, why didn't we like do that? Like, Ron's talking about budget constraints. Well, be pragmatic for a season. Get him on loan with a option to buy, and we'll buy him next summer, right?
I'll give you another name.
He's actually good.
Douglas Luiz has gone to Nottingham Forest.
Douglas Luiz also not good enough. We need to aim higher.
He's better than what we have.
Not good enough. Like, Mason Mount is playing pivot with Bruno in the second half.
Exactly right. This is what I'm saying is like.
Is Paulina and Douglas Luiz not an upgrade on that? Because that's our benchmark at the moment.
No, the benchmark's Ugarte, right? And I think they're not much of an upgrade on Ugarte.
I think Ugarte's pretty much just on the bench, isn't he? Like, so let's.
We need someone who can, be comfortable in possession.
Us. Are you willing to sell Kobbie Mainoo to get someone like Baleba in, for example?
Yeah, I'm very worried about those reports. I think that must be to do with his contract situation.
No, right. It's not. It's because Ruben doesn't want to play him, and he wants to play. It's World Cup year. It's nothing to do with his wages.
What you can see happening potentially is a loan deal So we don't
A
actually
loan deal, yeah.
sell
Not
him.
sell him though.
No,
Like,
a
we
loan
can't
deal,
sell him.
and then likely as Ruben will get fired this season, and Cobby comes
Yeah.
back in the summer under a new
Yeah, we
manager.
can't sell
Hopefully
Colby.
January.
We can't
January.
sell Colby.
No, we can't. We can't sell him or even loan him out.
Don't we need to sell him to actually fund a CM, right? I don't know. Is loan
Well,
going to help?
if
Yeah,
we
but
can
how much are
sell
you going to get
Anthony-
for him?
If we can sell Anthony, or at least loan out Anthony, Jadon Sancho, Garnacho, we should be able to get. They're talking about 50 million, but somewhere.
This
between
is all
35 and 50.
obligations, though, right? Like Anthony will be a loan, Sancho will be a loan, and also Sancho's contract's up at the end of the year anyway, so he's gone for free basically because he's made it clear that it's not about football for him.
I was reading that PSR is not an issue. In fact, though, I think there's another 100+ million to spend should we need it on a midfield player.
Yeah, and the other thing to bear in mind is we've just opened the PSR window, right? It's a July to July thing, so you can also sell in January or
before June 30th.
June
yeah.
30th, yeah. So like, we need to sign someone. One thing I would say is, it's what I think it was Scott or Ron you were making. We didn't know what the budget was. They have put their hand in the pocket when I'm Jim. I think we need another fishing trip to Iceland, and Jason's got to tell Jim, mate, we need another 50 whatever to get a midfielder. It doesn't have to be Wharton or Belieber, but there are other players out there. Edison at Atalanta, Stiller we've been linked with.
Doesn't that just get you another Agate though? Because we paid 50 million on Agate.
No, people who can play on the ball.
Right. Kobbie Mainoo?
I was looking at the numbers. I was really interested to be like, does Ruben hate Mainoo? Has he not been playing? I'm sure Mainoo's been playing. And actually, he started 15. He was injured for 8. Came off the bench in 3. And another.
Are you
3.
recycling Adam McCullough's stats here?
Was it Adam McCullough?
Yeah.
No, it was someone tweeted it. I don't know if
it was Adam McCullough, yeah.
Was it McCullough?
Yeah.
I saw someone else tweet that, and I just checked it before the pod, and I'm like, yeah, he has been playing games. So I was really disappointed he didn't come off the bench, and I am worried with the Mainoo situation.
I think the wider issue here is that even if we do go ahead and spend the money, and a few of us are saying it on this chat tonight, we don't trust the manager to be able to then go out and implement the plan, because tactically he's inept to do so. Ash makes a good point about Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank is able to adapt. Ash has mentioned 3 different games that he's played 3 different ways to get results. This manager is unwilling to compromise on his philosophy, and to be able to win games, you've got to be tactically able to change game to game.
This is the
failing
one thing
to
I
do
disagree with Scott. Is he said, great managers come in and they're adaptable. Pep is not adaptable. Klopp is not adaptable. Antonio Conte is not adaptable. The Jose Mourinho wasn't that adaptable. They have their philosophy. Ruben's a bit stubborn as well. He has his philosophy. The bit I do agree with is all of these managers needed investment. The team Klopp took was basically nobody apart from Trent started that Champions League final. Pep just signed player after player. Conte does the same, right? He makes big demands, and that might be the bit where you're right. However, this is what I'm saying, Jim, get your fishing rod out or whatever. Get the private jet out to Iceland with Jason. Pull out a little bit of extra money. I think I'm looking at that Arsenal game and I'm saying, they're the best midfield in the land with Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard, and we're saying, we're getting dominated. No, we dominated them. We controlled the game. We had the possession. We had the best chances. If we can do that consistently, like I said, first half against Fulham, happy with it. It just dropped off like a cliff in the second half.
I didn't think the Fulham game was that good. I mean, you talk about the first half.
The first
10 minutes.
30 minutes.
I'm not sure. I thought the first 10 minutes with Acuna hitting the post and obviously the ball from Bayern there, we had the moment, Bruno's penalty. But if you look at that first half, towards the end of that first half, Fulham were coming right into the game. And it reminded me a lot of last season, where countless times I was counting Fulham at the edge of their box, basically counter-attacking us, walking through our midfield and at the edge of our box within 5 seconds. That game reminded me of last season.
Yeah, it's a really good point, and I want to say this again, is that the compensation of having the less of midfielders is teams will get to the box. The benefit of the back 3 is they don't get as many shots on goal. So you're right, there's more of an end-to-end. We don't control the centre of the park, but we also control the penalty area better. And what we need to change this season is we need to score more goals in the other penalty area. We've signed 3 players that haven't really Cunha's got going and Burmo hasn't got going, Sesko hasn't got going. I want to give them a little bit of time. If when they're going, we're still in the same position, new manager, no problem.
You're clearly Ruben in then, as of now, then as
100%. Like, we can't change the manager after 2 games, guys. Come on.
But I mean, let's say even in the next couple of international breaks for you, you want to ride it out, into Christmas at least. Is that what you're saying?
And the other thing I always say with a manager change is, one is the guy out, but who's coming in?
Yeah, so
and
we'll
you
ask
guys
the other
keep
guys.
vetoing my Gareth Southgate and Kieran McKenna idea. Now, if you give me Southgate, McKenna, Carrick, Ruben's gone. I'll ask Ruben, go to private jet.
I just want to make a couple of points back on
Scott. Let's shake on it.
Scott's in. He'll take anyone.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I've just realised on this pod, Scott does remind me of Sean Dyche, so I'm wondering if he is actually Sean Dyche. He wants the
just
job.
needs a pirate hat.
Go on then, Ash. Ash, make your points, and then we're going to close with everyone telling us who they're going to replace Ruben with, because I feel us might be the only one that's Ruben in. So, Ash.
So, just regarding everyone banging on about the Arsenal performance, like that can't swing for like 5-6 games. We can't be referring to that. And also, Arsenal scored after 14 minutes. They decided to just give up the ball. You can talk about the pressing on United's side, which is fine. We did. But Arsenal did also give up the ball. So that's why we controlled it probably more than it looks like, because you just saw from the Fulham game, second half, we had no control. And on the point of we need to score more goals to almost like get out of this cycle of like not winning games. This reminds me of Louis van Gaal in that because we created very little chances in a football match, when we do score, naturally there's a tendency to give up the ball anyway, and we're not good enough to keep clean sheets or see out games. And that was even apparent on Sunday, because we got the goal, and pretty much on like Fulham's first attack with like any penetration, they got free. And that is what will happen during this tenure with Ruben.
I should make a great point on Louis van Gaal. 2015-2016 season, Louis van Gaal scored 49 goals. Guess how many goals we scored last season? 44. Very similar.
We drew a lot of games. I remember that we went to a lot of games that season, and we had a tendency to go 1-0 up. And as his mates Mike Smalling and Daley Blind, they would hold out till about the 80th minute, and then we concede. So I've seen this before. So, like I said, I just hope that the data and everything transforms into real performances where we start scoring goals, because that's what's going to happen.
Aren't you guys positive, like Ron? Aren't you positive on Mbumo, Cunha, Sesko?
I am.
We haven't seen them yet.
You remember when we were signing Mbumo? I was super excited.
He's not playing him.
I love Mbumo. I love Cunha. I've got no problems with those signings. My point is around the budget. We know the budget is 200 million. Would I have gone and spent 200 million on 2 number 10s when we had Bruno already in the number 10? We had Mason Mount, who, by the way, the manager really likes. I don't think I would have done that. I think we need to address the midfield, as you clearly agree. So I just would have used that money a little bit more wisely, given that we've got 6 days of the window left and we don't have a number 6. We don't even have a goalkeeper. I mean, we haven't even spoken about the goalkeeper issue. That's a whole different conversation.
I agree. But aren't you looking forward to seeing those 3 together finally and hopefully banging some in?
I was there on the first day of the season to watch Arsenal. Super excited. But to Scott's point, we lost the game. And the game's about winning. Yeah.
Come then, Ron. Tell us, if you're replacing Ruben, who are the 1 or 2 top names on your shortlist?
I really like Eddie Howe. I think what he's done at Newcastle, he's completely galvanised that football club. He's got the fans on side. He's playing exciting football. He scores goals. His brand is just brilliant. And I just think that the wheels might come off with the whole Isak situation. I can see him going to Liverpool. They've got Champions League this season. I'm just not sure how they're going to do. They'll do better than United, but I'm just not sure whether they're going to quite have the season they had last year. So I just wonder in the summer if there's potentially something that could tempt him to bring him across to Man United. We can't get him now, so what do we do in the interim? I do think Ruben won't last the season. So in the meantime, we're looking at an interim. I know Scott's going to say Ollie. So perhaps it's back to Ollie in the interim until the season's out.
I've got one for you that Scott would approve of. In Turkey, currently managing. How about Jose?
No, I wouldn't bring him back.
No. Oh, sorry, Scott. It's going to be Sean Dyche, unfortunately.
Go on, Scott. Give us a better name than Sean Dyche. Come on.
Ancelotti. Let's stick with him.
Yeah.
Pie in the sky. Yeah, Ancelotti. But I think I'm through with Ron. I think Eddie Howe's probably the top candidate to go and get. They're not going to get Southgate, even though I think Southgate would do quite a decent job and get us to that next level. It's a stepping stone with Southgate. I think I said last time, he needs to prove himself like club football and winning something within club football. He did a fantastic job at England, but I just don't think they will go for Southgate, especially with the scenario and the sacking of the sporting director previously. So yeah, I think Eddie Howe is probably the best one to go. Although I do like Thomas Frank.
Yeah, difficult to get him out of Spurs. So Ash, I assume still your boring CUNT number one on your list.
What, Iraola?
Still number one?
I think if I was to bring in a manager right now, 2 games in, and we want stability, and that's why I brought the Thomas Frank point up when Scott was last on, probably, I'd go Marco Silva.
Okay. After that game against Fulham, he impressed you even more so. Yeah?
No, because he was on my list originally, even when Ten Hag was fired.
He was. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, so the data guys, like Az can go and speak to Cabs and the rest of the data world, they all like him as well. And for this, and this is the point, like if it was a clean slate, Iraola had time, I'd probably go with that because he's got a philosophy and I like his philosophy. But I think for this situation coming in where he would come in either October or November, I think Marco Silva's a better fit and he will do well with this squad.
So that's 3 clearly Ruben out, 1 clearly Ruben in. I think I'll keep it relatively even and declare that I'm still Ruben in, but very different reasons to us. And I said I'd be making.
I thought there was a big reveal coming.
There is a big reveal, and my big reveal is that I'm not stepping foot into Old Trafford until Ineos and the Glazers are gone. Because for me, we can go through this cycle again of new managers. I'm bored of it, guys. It's been 10 plus years. We'll get a new guy in, we'll have a little run of form, but the same problems will creep back in. And for me, the biggest disgrace over the last 12 to 18 months is the way Ineos have treated us over ticket pricing, the redundancies, the way they treated people like Kath, and now also getting rid of Kobbie Mainoo, or talking about getting rid of Kobbie Mainoo, getting rid of Garnacho. Manchester United is about academy players coming through the academy. They've ripped the heart and soul out of the club. So I won't be stepping foot into Old Trafford until they're gone. I will be going to away games, though, because I still love Man United, and you can never take that out of me. But it's really hard because you're in conflict, right? Because you love the club. We all love the club. But we all hated the Glazers. We can all agree on that. And for me, the Glazers are still there. We can't forget that. You know, the protest got cancelled early in the season. I think a lot of us are in conflict about what to do because you love the club. But for me, I'm making a stand now, and I'm not stepping foot into Old Trafford until they're gone.
What about merch? You're not going to buy any merch as well?
I thought about that, so I won't be buying any merch, but I probably will have to get Rafi the baby kit because, again, I'm in conflict. So,
Mate, Steve, come on. I'm sure Ron can sort you out with some Chinese.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's true. We'll get him the United kit, but we won't put money in.
Let's be hush-hush about that now.
Yeah.
I've actually got a point on Ineos. I was thinking about it earlier in terms of recruitment, right? Because there's been a lot of talk about, obviously, the order of which we bought players and, could we have spent the money better, etc. And this is the thing. It's not a slight against the players that have been brought in, right? Cunha and Mbumu are really good Premier League players. I feel sorry for Šeško in terms of the criticism that he's already got, given how many minutes he's played and he's super young. But I was thinking about this. If someone like Michael Edwards was in charge instead of Jason Wilcox, I do wonder if we had made even the big free transfers that we've made. I feel like it's like, no one is leading that recruitment process. Like, to me, it just seems like Ruben is dictating, and essentially Wilcox is just getting whatever he wants. And I don't think that would be the case if Michael Edwards was like at the club, or maybe some of the Brighton guys. I think it would be much more like, technically driven, as opposed to like coach driven. I wonder, like, because you look at Jason Wilcox's record, right? He's only done it as a sporting director at Southampton. He was youth director at Man City, so his knowledge, I guess, of like youth academy football would be fantastic. But Steve, I know you've mentioned it quite a few times, whether it's Ineos or Jason. It's like, yeah, with a better technical lead, I do wonder if we could have made smarter recruitments in terms of what we need for the manager.
That's part of the disgrace, isn't it? They've gone and fired people while they've gone and wasted millions on Ashworth. There's a whole number of reasons we could list off against Ineos, right? It's countless. So yeah, I think we have to wrap it up there, guys. We could carry on for hours. We will obviously do more pods. This is going to roll on. We've got Grimsby midweek. Hopefully Shesko might get off the mark if he starts. Sounds like we might play a strong team just to get a win on the board. And then, Burnley at home on the weekend. So again, surely we can expect to win against Burnley at home. Is that asking too much, us?
Mate, we've got to beat Burnley.
There we go.
Got to beat Burnley.
He wants a performance.
No, but
yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's not about the result. He'll take 1-1.
No.
Performance.
It's true. It's true, actually, that I don't just want a result. I want a performance and
what
a
XG
result.
do you want? Come on, what XG do you want? Tell us.
The thing that Ash made a really good point of an LVG situation. I want to see more than one goal in the game. I want to see 2 and 3. I want to see a dominant performance and not just a win. I want to see 2 or 3 goals.
3 XG,
advantage.
yeah? 3 XG. That's the requirement.
That's the bar, my friend.
Go watch YouTube highlights, and when Ollie was in charge, you'll see 2-3 goals there. You won't see it this weekend.
Exactly.
Scott, you don't need to persuade me about Ollie, so yeah.
Well, if we get desperate, we know where we're going mid-season. So, all right, thanks for joining, guys. That was a cracker. So, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode.